Welcome back to the channel. So you want to be a real estate agent. Thanks for joining in and being part of this discussion. And in the last video, I talked a little bit about budgeting, licensing, and finding a firm. And again, those things a lot of those things are very specific to each individual state. Like I mentioned, some states are going to require 60 hours or 90 hours, and other states are going to require 120 hours. I've heard, I haven't confirmed, have heard that some require some sort of a degree. It could be, there's all kinds of things, but you need to check that for your specific state. The next aspects are a little bit more universal in combining budget and finding your firm, because they're somewhat connected. So first off, your budget, not counting your coursework, getting your licensure, I estimate you're going to need about $2,500 to $3,000 a year. All right. So first of all, you've got a super key in most states, as far as I'm aware of. Your super key is an electronic key. It's an app on your phone. It allows you to open up lock boxes. That's about 16 bucks a month. Your MLS dues. MLS dues vary from MLS to MLS. My experience in two different MLSs is you're anywhere from 180 to 330 bucks or I should say biannually. So twice a year. So that's like 360 bucks up to 675 bucks or so per year, just to have access to the MLS. And again, there could be other MLSs that are more. I don't know. I only know the two I've been a part of, but there's that part of it. So your realtor dues are right around 600 bucks a year. And so, but we're going to see how things may change with that. There is a lawsuit still in process of being settled right now at the time of recording. Some of these things may change. You may not be required to be a realtor now for certain things. I don't know how all that stuff's going to change. For now, 600 bucks a year. So far though, if you total those things up, we're at $1,492 per year, or 125 bucks a month, and we haven't even joined a firm yet, right? That's just kind of some basic things there. So now let's talk about firms. And there's nothing constant in real estate. So the information I'm giving you now, it could change. In fact, I know, like the last firm that I was at, I know when I left, they were actually in process of making some changes. Okay. And so it's important that if there's something you're interested in, check it out for yourself. Okay. My information may be outdated, but I think there's some general principles that you can rely on in here. So when you join a firm, you're going to become an independent contractor. Okay. That means that you can basically do what you want. You're an independent contractor. You have to do what you want within the law. All right. You have the state real estate law. Then you will have your firm's laws. All right. Your rules. This is like business rules. So like if you worked at Old Navy, they want you to do things a certain way. But if you worked at another clothing store, I don't know. All I can think of ones that I used to shop at are Zoomies and Abercrombie and Fitch. Right? I never shopped there, but I always saw them in the store. Anyways, when I was a kid, I could never afford those clothes. But anyways, they want you to do things differently. The way that you fold the clothes, the way that you approach customers, the way that you talk to the management about your breaks or things like that, right? Whatever jobs you've had, it could be in the same industry, but they have different rules. Same thing in real estate. Every firm has some different rules in the way that they want to operate, as far as branding and as far as what you do with open houses and all kinds of things. So with each firm, like some of these rules, might be like office meetings. Maybe an office meeting is mandatory. Maybe it's not mandatory. But I mean, by law, they're not mandatory, but maybe this office says, if you want to get these leads or get these things, then you need to come to the office meetings, right? It could be a condition of getting other benefits. There could be all kinds of aspects to that. So you need to look at those things, but those things will also be outlined in your ICA, Independent Contractor Agreement. So you need to make sure you read that in thoroughly, and they're long, and they could be 25 pages. All right. So you need to look through all of that to make sure that you understand exactly how things work. Now let's talk about the normals of firms. Okay. Firms typically function in one of two ways. Either they have a commission split where they take part of the commission, or they have transaction fees, right? That's how they make money. All right, a firm has to make money somehow. The broker has to get paid something because he's managing all these agents, and somebody's running. If it's a brick and mortar, they got to pay for the building somehow. All right, maybe you have an admin or somebody who answers the phones. You got to pay for that somehow. Okay. Now, I've worked in both types of firms. One's where it's commission split, one where it's a transaction fee. Let's talk about commission split first. This is where a portion of your commission, it goes to the company. Maybe you have an 80-20 split or a 75-25. That means you'd keep 80% of the commission. If you get a $10,000 commission, you keep $8,000 of it. Okay? Maybe, but some firms it's 75-25. Sometimes it's 60-40. It just kind of depends. Now, if you join a team, okay, I'll talk about teams briefly in just a minute here too, but teams are still under a firm. So sometimes those teams are doing a 50-50 split. And then perhaps out of that 50%, you may still have to pay 20% to the office, or maybe they've taken that off the top. Every firm is different in that regard. Some firms have a lower split or a lower amount that they keep if you're on a team. You need to look into that. But now, for example, though, one firm that I was at had an $18,000 cap. Okay, what that means is the split you pay, so that 80-20, I pay the office 20% of all my commission. That 20% caps at $18,000. Okay, so I figured out while I was there that meant I had to sell about, I want to say 2.4 million. I think if I sold 2.4 million at a 3% commission, then I would have capped at that $18,000 roughly. Now there was another firm that I had looked at. They had a $25,000 cap. Okay, so but I've also heard of some firms that have a $30,000 or $35,000 cap. That means you're paying that office $30,000 to be there. Okay, now I'm currently at a firm that has a $15,000 cap, and each year that I'm there, it goes down by $1,000 to a floor of $10,000. Okay, so that's something I haven't seen before, a declining cap. It's kind of like they're rewarding you for your loyalty to the company. It's kind of nice. Now, so that means, so if you're making an average, let's say 2.5% commission, and you sell $2.5 million worth, and let's say you have an 85-15 split, so you're keeping 85% like I do with my current company, then I would have $53,000 in commission after the split, and I would have paid $9,375 to my office. So if you do the math, I'd have to actually sell about $4 million in order to cap. And so that, while that's more, it's a higher dollar figure than the other company that I've been at before, where it was an $18,000 cap. Like I would get to that cap faster, but that means that I'm getting more money out of my commission every paycheck. So because it's 85-25 or 85-15 versus 80-20. So there's things that you have to consider. It's a higher cap here, but it takes longer to cap here depending on how much commission you're getting, right? So at $100,000 in gross commission, I'm getting 85 and I'm paying my company 15 this year. Now, if you are, in every office, every firm is a little bit different, okay? The other office that had an $18,000 cap, they also had a franchise fee. That franchise fee was $3,000. So ultimately, I was actually paying them $21,000. Okay, so and now that $3,000 again, there was a percentage that came out in that cap, that $3,000. So there's a lot that goes into these things, and that's why I say you need to budget. Now, that money comes out of your commissions, though it's not necessarily up front. That's how commission split and a cap work. Now let's talk about transaction fee brokerages. One of the things that I don't like about these brokerages is a lot of them are going to advertise, we're 100% commission. We give 100% to our agents, but they don't. Okay. They give you 100% and then they charge you a transaction fee. Okay. Now, so to me, it's just a gimmick, right? You never get all of it. But they say that because, they can say that because they are giving it to you, and then there's a transaction fee that's charged. So there's one office that I was at, had a plan where I only had to pay a transaction fee on the first transaction of the month. And that transaction fee was around like $800 or $850 or something like that. So I figured out pretty quickly that my maximum dollars, including my monthly costs, were going to be about $11,000. I'm like, that's pretty dang cheap. I'm like, I like that. The problem with it, though, for me was, or that I found over after being there a few years, was that, it's cheap, but you don't get anything. They have a CRM, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but they had some things, but the back-end systems weren't great. There was no other real benefits. I mean, they had a brick and mortar office, so I could go to that and I think it included copies. But there just wasn't a lot. There wasn't a whole lot there in terms of benefits, right? And so, and my transaction fee went up. So I think when I started, it was like $750 and went up to like $850 or something. And so those things can change. Oh, this is our transaction fee. And maybe they go, our rent's going up on the building and stuff. We need to raise our transaction fee. So it doesn't always necessarily stay the same. Because the CRM wasn't great, I actually ended up paying about $130 a month for a website and a CRM at that time. And now a lot of those services are more expensive than that, because that was a while ago when I was there. But it was just a cheap office, and that's what I wanted at the time. Another office that I interviewed said there was 100% commission, but they had a transaction fee that was like $900 or $950, but it was on every single transaction. And so if you were a bigger producer if you did 25 sales in a year, you were paying $25,000 in transaction fees. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, you're not actually giving me more than some of these other companies that have a large cap, right? So another thing to be aware of, like I mentioned before, is franchise fees. This is something a lot of bigger franchises have. Keller Williams, Century 21, probably Remax and others. I don't know. I've only talked to Keller Williams and Century 21, and they might have changed these things since I talked to them, okay? But like at the time, the Century 21 franchise fee didn't ever cap. So even when I'd capped at their $25,000 mark, it was still a 6% franchise fee on every transaction. So if you're a big time producer doing 40 sales a year, let's say 50 sales a year, that's a lot in franchise fees. And so these are things, again, that you have to be looking at. Thankfully, Keller Williams had the $3,000 one that did cap there, right? But you want to look at all of these things in that independent contractors agreement. Besides these fees and splits, you also have a monthly fee. I haven't heard of any office that doesn't have a monthly fee yet, but that could be anywhere from $50 a month to $150 a month, maybe more. I don't know. I haven't come across any that are much more than that. What seems to be the going rate is between $50 and $100 a month. Okay, and so they have that though because not everybody sells homes. Not everybody sells 12 homes a year. Not everybody sells enough homes to cap. And so they kind of have these minimums that they need to keep the lights on, keep agents thinking about doing business, right? And so I would say a normal is somewhere between that 50 and 150 range. Now, the last thing I'll say is there are some offices like my current office, they actually do both a split and a transaction fee, okay? So my office does have a monthly fee, and my office also has a commission split, and they have transaction fees. And I know on the surface, it's kind of like, well, what in the world? It's like you're paying the money everywhere for everything, right? But that's where you have to look at the cost benefit, okay? So the real question for all of the firms that you interview all of the firms that you are looking at, that you are thinking about, whether it's a big firm like a Keller Williams or an EXP or a Century 21, Remax, etc., or if you're looking at a small boutique firm, I can tell you, I know someone who recently started their own, they just got their broker's license and started their own firm, right? They've got, I don't know, they got 5 or 6 agents or something right now. There's a lot of those boutique firms, whether you're joining a big one or a little one or something in the middle, okay? What are you getting for your money? That is the question, okay? Because honestly, you can go and spend $15,000 on a good used car. And someone else might go, I'm not spending $15,000 on a car. You can go spend $5,000 on a car. What are you getting for your money? I think most of us would agree that most of the time you get more for your money here at this one paying $15,000. Now, with real estate companies though, that's not always the case. Okay? There's a lot of things that are going to be the same in a lot of them. So when I was at the company though, where I had to pay about $11,000 a year, I didn't really feel like I was getting very much. Now, when we consider how much we're actually paying, sometimes it's all about the name recognition. I don't know how important that is. I really don't feel like it's important. Every company I've been at has been new in that market. When I started at Keller Williams, at the time, it was 2010, nobody had heard of them in my market, okay? I think at the time that I started with them, I can't remember. They might have been 30, 40,000 agents nationwide or something like that. And then they quickly went up to over 100,000 agents. When I moved over to HomeSmart as a transaction fee-based brokerage, nobody had heard of them either because they were based out of Arizona and I was in Washington. Then I moved over to EXP. At the time that I moved to EXP, though, it was pretty well growing. I think at the time that I went over, it was 50,000 agents or something like that. So people have kind of known of them, but still there's, within real estate, they're kind of leery, or real estate agents were leery of it in some ways. But now I'm at Epic Realty. Nobody's heard of them because they are actually new. So they're new in the last year or two. Anyways, and so you can be paying for a name if you're paying this higher dollar figure or paying for their big infrastructure or things like that. And, I don't think you should be paying for a name myself, because 99% of the people you're going to talk to are not going to work with you because you're at Realty Executives Associates, or you're at Keller Williams, or you're at fill in the blank. Okay? They're not going to work with you because you're at that office. Most of them won't. They're going to work with you because they like you. All right? Because you connect with them, because you are trustworthy, because you show good business skill. That's why they're going to work with you. So a good brokerage should have at minimum an available broker, the managing broker, okay? Free coaching and training, free website, and the IDX. IDX is an internet data transfer or data exchange. So that's where the website will pick up leads from the MLS. And they should have a free CRM. CRM is contact response management. And it's a way that you contact customer response management. I can't remember. CRM is your system for managing your contacts, your database, people, being able to email them and record what you're doing and that kind of thing. Now, to me, those are bare minimums. If you're paying $20,000 a year, you should get a lot more than that. Okay? Because you could pay for that stuff on your own for relatively inexpensive, depending on what you want. But the website and CRM, those are very personal in terms of what you like to use. And honestly, I have not found a CRM that is 100% the way that I want it to be. Because we all think differently. We all want things organized differently. And so every company, though, should have one that works well, even if it's not your ideal. Okay? Now, the one that your brokerage may be using may be good. It just may not be your personal preference. Okay? I don't think you should judge a real estate company purely based on whether or not you like the CRM, if it's actually a good one. Okay? Now, there's some of them that really are bad. Like they've made their own and it's really not that good. So that's a whole different thing. Okay, I'm going to take a minute here to talk about my brokerage, Epic Realty. I'm not going to necessarily do this in every single video. Like I said, I'm not here to sell you something, but I do want you to be informed because I think it's a really great brokerage. And I've been at Keller Williams, HomeSmart, EXP. Okay, I've looked into these things, and I felt like at Keller Williams and HomeSmart, I felt like I was working for them. I mean, they've trained me, maybe with them. Keller Williams, maybe working with them. EXP, I felt like I was working with them. Epic, I feel like is working for me. All right. And I feel like they're working for me because of everything that I get for my money. Yes. So it's $150 a month, or if you want to pay it all up front, it's $1,200 up front. So that'd be $100 a month. You have the $15,000 cap, which lowers every year. So for 6 years, it'll lower until you bottom out at $10,000. And there's a transaction fee. Okay, the transaction fee is 1% of the purchase price. And so, but that caps at $500 per transaction. Well, what do I get for all of that? Well, I get free car washes. All right. I mean, you know, those places where you can go and you can pay like $40 a month and get unlimited car washes or whatever. Okay. That's included. Basic listing photography. Okay, not drones and not like 3D and all that stuff. But if you know anything about getting listing photography, you can easily pay minimum $250, right? If you have 6 listings in a year, well, that's see if I can do my math in my head. Is that $1,500? Okay, so right there, 6 listings a year, that's $1,500. That pays for you no longer have a monthly fee, right? That pays for it. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. We get free sign installs. I know I've never had this done because I had my own signs that were pretty easy to install. But people would tell me it was about $50 to $75 to have someone go out and install a sign and pick it up. I don't know if it's $50 each time or what it is, but it's free sign install, free removal, free transaction coordinator. They've just added free dental care. All right. So the dental care, like through Washington Dental, and this includes up to $750 worth of work, I'll say, free preventative, free x-rays. Preventative is usually cleanings, right? And so it's like, that's pretty big right now. We've got telehealth care. So you can, and it's free. So you can, hey, I've got this issue. I know like some people get sinus infections a lot and you just want to get a prescription done or whatever. You can just, hey, I think I have a sinus issue. Talk to your doctor and they may go ahead and there's a history there, right? They may just go ahead and do it. But on top of that, you get free prescriptions. All right. I take a prescription for my thyroid and it's free. I've already used that. They're adding roadside assistance. There's digital billboards that you get for free. Free social media ads for your listings. You get free continuing education classes. I mean, free coaching and mentoring. So we have Epic is a virtual brokerage, so we don't have a brick and mortar, but every area we have a local mentor who's there to help us in our business that we can contact. And honestly, within the first month of being at Epic, the mentor reached out to me twice, like about every 2 weeks she was calling. So I've been here, wait, hold on. I've basically been in 4 months. I've been here. She's already reached out to me personally, I think 3 times, and she's organized a get together where we got together with other agents that are in our local area just to connect with other local agents, right? And she's literally was new because it's a newer company, and so she's on top of it, right? And so she's not my upline. Now we do have revenue sharing, so that's a whole nother side of everything. But a lot of places that maybe do revenue or profit sharing, they don't have a dedicated mentor who's not your broker. Okay, your broker is the broker. You have a mentor here for building your business. And so now, honestly, I haven't reached out to her much because I've been in business for 14 years. And so I kind of have a handle on some things, but I also have some other, my upline are business coaches and they're active real estate agents that are also coaching. And we have our own coaching calls and things like that I'm a part of. And I'd love to invite you to be part of those too. But I want you to understand like that this is the tip of the iceberg for some of the free things that we have and that we have access to. And that's why I'm there. And so when you're choosing a firm, You need to figure out what works for you and your cost benefit. There's a reason that there are thousands of real estate offices, real estate companies. There is a reason that so many people went to Keller Williams and EXP and are still at Century 21 and are at Coldwell Banker and realty executives, etc. There's a reason that not everybody just flooded over to these new companies when they started or whatever. And there's a reason that people move and change. We all have something different that we are looking for. The question you have to answer is, what are you looking for? And if you want to know more about Epic or more about my experiences, you want to chat or whatever, feel free to reach out. Feel free to comment. I'm happy to give more if I can. But otherwise, I hope this information here just about what to be thinking about when you look at an independent contractor agreement, the ICA. And like I said, I hope it helps. I want you to be successful. I want you to start off on the right foot. I've heard enough bad experience of the people starting out at wrong offices, bad offices, where they had no support, no training, and nobody wants that. So I'd love to help you out. Feel free to reach out, and I hope you have a great day.